Hello, hello, hello. It's not where we start, ladies and gentlemen. It's where we finish. I'm Anthony Gafa, and you're watching Unfiltered with Gafa. This is going to be a great journey, especially for me and for my family and friends. But I've decided to share it amongst my wider community. So listen in and see what we can bring to the table. Unfiltered. Anyone that knows me, I'm pretty unfiltered at the best of times. One would say I'm quite a disruptive entrepreneur. So that's what I want to share amongst this podcast for viewers or listeners. It's not where we start, it's where we finish. Although that is an auction phrase we use all the time, but I really can relate to that in my life. I was a sparky, making lots of money, buying property, and doing what I want. But I just didn't feel complete. I wanted to pioneer something. I wanted to be a game changer. And for a lot of people, horse racing doesn't mean much. But I'd started to get into the horse racing, some would say quite heavily, some would say quite mildly. We've got families who have been in horse racing for 5 generations. And again, I'd been in for 10 minutes. So really I was dipping my toes in the water in horse racing, and I liked it. But I was 40 horses deep. I had 40 of my own horses, and I'm like, I really like this space. I loved getting up on the farm in the morning. I love doing the horse thing. Not that I've ever ridden a horse, but I just love horses. And I went to the auction houses, and I was captured. The first time I ever walked into an auction house, the horses were parading. People were yelling. The auctioneer was raising his voice. It was electric. And it was from that moment I realized this is me forever. And I'm like, I want to be an auctioneer. I want to do something a little bit different. So I identified a hole in the market. Nobody was doing online auctions for thoroughbreds. I was the pioneer in selling thoroughbreds online under auction conditions. Of course, there were some hurdles along the way, but all in all, auction 1 went well, first year went well, second year went well, and the auction was a success. However, we then have competition. Like any business, you've got to keep reinventing yourself, and you need to keep the ball rolling, and you need to be coming up with better ideas. But I knew being an electrical contractor didn't satisfy me as an individual. I wanted more. Now being able to apply myself to an online business that I could work on, not so much in, was the commencement of creating something special for me. I am only on my first step. It's only its infant stages. I've only been around for 10 years in selling thoroughbreds. Like I said earlier, people have been around for 5 generations. Nobody else was doing it. I was a fucking genius. Well, I thought I was a genius anyway. The industry had changed. From all the horses that were traded in Australia, you had to go to the physical auction ring to buy a horse. You had to lug your horses to the ring. Although I loved the energy the auction ring delivered on a good sunny day, sometimes it was raining. No one turned up. Although I loved the energy the auction ring delivered when they were selling $1 million baby, sometimes they were $1,000. This is how I identified we needed more. We needed to do something different. So there was that niche, which is what we talk about. Finding a niche in the market and grabbing it and run with it. Being disciplined. Week in, week out. I've been doing it for 10 years. Some say business starts at 10 years. Well, it hasn't been an easy grind, but I've enjoyed every step of it. We're starting to get more and more momentum. Selling horses online under auction conditions is the best animal practices, exposes it to a national audience and an international audience. So in my head, it's like this thing can't not work. It has to work. And It is working. My competitors have got on the bandwagon. I was driving for 3 years, and then my competitor, English Digital, got on board. My other competitor, Magic Millions, have recently got on board and started trading horses online. Look, people say, "Oh, what about your competition? Is there a problem?" Yeah, no, we just need to keep improving. We just need to keep getting better. We just need to keep reinventing the wheel. I'm okay with my competitors. I don't know why they don't like me anymore. I believe there is room in this space for us three and potentially another one. It's just changing the way horses are traded. A lot of people will tell you I'm a very disruptive entrepreneur, and I'm proud to be that person. There's a lot of parts within my life that led me to be that type of business person, an entrepreneur. I think it was just in me. I'm still trying to get my head around whether you become an entrepreneur or you just are. And I'll never be, I don't think I'll ever know, because I know as a kid, if I was nearly going to lose Monopoly, I'd literally sell my push bike to win. And then we move across to talking to people who were my mentors growing up, and you'd see what they'd be doing, whether you're buying a house or getting an understanding on what you needed to do to buy a house. And I do recall from my very first job when I was knee height to a grasshopper that, if you went into the bank and asked how much money you needed for a deposit for a house, they would tell you. So it wasn't actually impossible to get your head around how to buy a house. And you could reach out to your local agents to understand how you could buy a house. So me being a kid who was pretty, I wouldn't say uneducated, I did go to a Catholic school, but I'm dyslexic and ADHD, so I ticked all the boxes, which I feel are gifts. If I could get my head around how to commence that journey of investing and changing the way, get my head around investing and creating a better tomorrow for myself, and later on down the track, a better tomorrow for my family, anyone can. And that's what we're actually going to be talking about along this journey of Unfiltered with Gafa. It's not all about entrepreneurs, but it's about people who have done something within their life and they can share their story so my audience can learn something, embrace something, or maybe become a little bit more grateful. I think a lot of people now aren't grateful, and everyone's got their own story to tell. But I'm a big believer in someone's always doing it tougher. I was born in Australia, live in Australia, love this country. I travel around the world when I want. I do whatever I want. I choose to go to work every day. We have choices. So there is so many ways that different people learn. Some people love books. Some people listen to podcasts. Some people watch television series. Some people have mentors. But for me personally, I'm an action person. I like to learn from my mistakes. And that's what I implement in my whole life. Really, that's how I roll. I will recruit people and give them opportunities. And I don't back people, I sack people. Oh, fuck. I don't back people, I sack people. Oh, that's funny. Got thinking about it for the first time. I don't sack people, I back them. Okay. We all have opportunities, and some people choose to take them and some people don't. There's a lot of people out there who are on big money, or they're doing trades and they're earning $100,000, $150,000 a year, and they're working 7 days a week, but they just choose not to invest their money or get their head around what's going to create a better tomorrow for them. Next thing you know, their wife's pregnant and they're going to rent for the rest of their life. Look, it's not all about owning property. It's definitely not. It's about understanding what's important to you. Knowing me and myself and what I'm like as an individual, I wanted a family. I wanted a big family. That's what I live for. But I was never going to be able to support my family, pissing my money up against the wall. The first time I had a drink, I was 30 years old because I had goals, I had discipline, I had things I wanted to achieve. I'm not saying everybody needs to try and conquer the world, but there's no future in not planning your life. As a young person, yes, do a little bit of traveling, go around the world. But there comes a point where you need to look yourself in the mirror and take accountability. This day and age, there's no accountability. There is no accountability whatsoever. I'm hoping throughout this Unfiltered with Gafa first series, I can capture an audience and they can come along a journey with me. I'm going to share what I did, not because I want to talk about fancy watches, not that I have a fancy watch, or money that people have. I'm not saying I've got money. But I know the choices I made did set me up for life. And I believe by sharing my story and bringing people onto this podcast, and we're going to talk unfiltered, we're going to talk about what really disruptive means. We're going to talk about making choices, the right choices, how this will impact your life, and how these little 1%ers that I made in my life made me a better person, gave me opportunities, talk about my investment journey, talk about everything that I've done to get me where I am today. And to be brutally honest, I still haven't stepped on my first step. I've been very fortunate. I surround myself with good people. It's one of the most key ingredients to a successful. Well, when we talk success, what is success? Some people are money driven. Some people are success driven, where they see success as developing a world-class entity, where they want to develop something that nobody else has developed, if that's your mindset. But then some people measure success on ensuring their entire family get to the picnic on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on a picnic blanket with a $12 bottle of wine, a loaf of bread, and some sausages. The most important thing is understanding what success means to you. What identifies an entrepreneur? What's the difference between an entrepreneur, a disruptive entrepreneur, and a businessman? Well, I think an entrepreneur, in my eyes, is someone who can win, lose, rags to riches, day in, day out. That perseverance is the key attribute to being a true entrepreneur. Being happy at work. How important is it to be happy at work? How important is it to find your dream job? Or leaning into commencing a business? How important is it to be working with a space? How important is it to be working within a space that you love, that you're passionate about? If you don't love it, you won't turn up, they say. I love what I do. I do. I'm probably one of the ones that are going to go against the grain here, but I think it's important to work in an environment like we do. We have a no dickhead policy. So if you're a dickhead, you can't work here. But I think it's really, really important to understand what you're trying to achieve out of life. Some people want to retire when they're 30. Some people want to retire when they're 40. So going to work because you're working in an environment that you love being down the pub, you want to work behind the bar, and you're happy at work. Well, you're probably not going to retire when you're 30. That's just how life is. But I think more to the point is show me the fucking money. If you want to achieve something in life, you want to be able to afford to go around the world on a European holiday every year, you want to be able to have a boat in the harbour, and that's what this next generation want. We've got a lot of wants, and I think they've turned from wants to needs now. These needs are not going to happen by working your 38-hour week. But you're happy at work. It's not about being happy at work. It's about setting yourself a goal and staying disciplined till you fuck that goal up. Now, I'm not saying to go to work and hate being there, but understand your goal. You're not going to get where you want to get by going to work for 38 hours a week just because you're happy. For some people, it's important to be happy, and that's what they want to do for the rest of their life. That's okay. That is totally okay, and I'm definitely not against that. I surround myself with a lot of people like that. However, I'm sick of hearing that people want to conquer the world. They want an empire of a business. They've got all these ideas. They want to release an app, but they just want to be happy at work as well. It's all about becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's either show me the money or being comfortable and happy at work. You choose. Now, moving right along, you get to that point where you're finally going to take the plunge. You're going to leave your job. You get to that point where, I've had enough of going to work 9 to 5, having my friends around me all day, day in, day out, and you've realized it's time to, really shake it up and give it a crack. This is where I lead back into, is it about your passion now? Is it about what makes you happy? No. Show me the fucking money. If I had the opportunity to own one company or another, one was a cleaning company that turns over $10 million and it's making 50% profit. So I'm taking home $5 million a year. Or I'll have a passion for boats. If I had the opportunity to trade boats and turn over $10 million a year, working for 2%, I know what I'm doing. I'm a cleaner every day of the week. Fuck the boats. My theory here is this. Get in your head, become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Understand it's not where we start, it's where we finish. Clean bins. Grow a company that's making you money to become financially free. That's what this is about. But people just can't come to terms with making the sacrifices. I'm not going to sit here and lie. The last 12 months, I've been caught in a bit of a rut as well. I've been going out every Friday night instead of getting to bed early and recording this podcast like I'm doing this morning. Now I've put that aside. I've focused. I've actually given up alcohol for 6 months. I'm on a health journey. I go to the gym every morning without fail at 5 a.m. I'm counting calories. I'm taking photos of myself once a week and jumping on the scales. I've realized what's important to me. For me personally, first and foremost, at all times, is family. I love my business, but I want my business to get to a point where it can run itself to a degree. I do think that's a little bit of a crock of shit in itself. Businesses always run with the director present and active, but that's just my view. Now, we talk about being caught in a rut, about every man and his dog wants to buy a house, but it's unfair. Don't talk about being fucking unfair. Talk about you. Look yourself in the mirror. It's time to make a change. Cut the bullshit and make a change.